Yes, I have it written down, all of it. All right, and both runners have started, so welcome everyone to The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX 2017, any percent, no save and quit, no wrong warp, no out of bounds speedrun tournament, Group E, Round 1, Match 2. On the left, we have GreenTunic with a PB of 54.58. On the right, we have whitewolfos with a PB of 1 hour, 25 minutes, and 44 seconds. How was that? Did I miss anything?
Did you say no save and quit?
I did. At least I think I did.
Yeah, you missed that the other day.
I think the first time I missed DX, and then maybe I missed save and quit. But you know, who's keeping track? So both runners going up to get quick sword here potentially. We'll see if they both opt to go to the damage boost. I believe GreenTunic will. Whitewolfos going the old strat to the left here.
I want to. Oh, he walks into the urchin. I was going to say the old strat isn't actually that slow. I want to say the new strat's maybe a second, if not less.
Yeah, I would say about a second, maybe. I think it is less though. I think the damage boost saves less than 10 frames, and going up after the sword, which Wolfos is doing, saves 40 frames, I believe. So not much different, but as Carbone pointed out, Wolfos taking a hit to the Gordo/Urchin there.
The other thing is going for the damage boost. I've seen some people miss it.
Yeah, I personally don't do it. I just never learned it.
You have to move down and right, like after you get, and some people move down and right a bit too early and don't actually get the damage boost.
So both players going up to the forest here to get the tail key, the key to unlock the first dungeon. We'll see a trick called Moblin Skip coming up in a second.
So we're already seeing GreenTunic quite a few seconds ahead, and this is probably down to his optimized movement.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
In this game, we have something very, very major called wall clipping, which everyone knows what wall clipping is in most games. In this game, it allows us to do certain tricks as well as optimized movement. And most of the stuff that you'll see in this game, with possibly the exception of bomb triggers, is some form of wall clip somewhere.
So GreenTunic getting the trick that Wolfos is working on right now. Moblin Skip, damage boost across this pit. You're not really supposed to go that way. Kind of sequence breaks a little bit of this forest area. And then it looks like both players getting Owl Skip, I believe. I think Wolfos is going to get it. Oh, a little off there, actually. Frame perfect trick there to skip this little owl cutscene that Wolfos is having to mash through. Not a huge time save, but nice to get.
They both had acceptable Moblin skips as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, getting a good Moblin skip in a race it's rare at best.
Yeah, well, it's just totally not up to you, basically. It's just you're at the game's RNG mercy.
Because normally runners will reset if they get really bad Moblin RNG, but in a race, there's no reason to reset.
So GreenTunic picking up the powder here. Wolfos is going to do the same. Not too far behind, though, I would say. Then GreenTunic's going to be coming up here, stealing the shovel from the shopkeeper, taking a death to the shopkeeper. That's planned in the route. Buying a couple sets of bombs, and then stealing the bow and arrow and heading to the first dungeon. And I believe Wolfos is going to be doing the same route. Vlak kind of threw us off yesterday with his different route than literally every other runner.
Doesn't go into a trendy game until later. Doesn't buy a second pet.
He doesn't go into a trendy game at all. He goes to the witch hut with the mushroom.
And then enters D1 in a time quicker than I can actually exit shop.
Wolfos having a little bit of trouble stealing from the shopkeeper here. It's a little random kind of when he looks at you. There's some general rules we go off of, but that shopkeeper can be a mess sometimes.
There's two main patterns with the shopkeeper, and you sort of have to leave the shop in the timing according to the way the shopkeeper looks up. So if the shopkeeper looks up straight away, you have to leave straight away. That's the harder cycle. if he waits half a second before looking up, you wait half a second and then you leave, and you usually get it first time when you get that cycle.
So whitewolfos is on their way to D1 here. GreenTunic did you see that pit walk? I didn't know that was actually in GreenTunic's normal route.
I'm gonna be honest, I was watching whitewolfos at the time.
Gotcha. Yeah, GreenTunic did a little trick called a pit walk, which is also kind of, I think it's somewhat RNG dependent. I'm not sure on all the details about it. whitewolfos going all the way around, getting a few kills on the way there for a thing called Piece of Power, which we'll explain maybe a little later. If you see arbitrary kills, it's for Piece of Power.
So Piece of Power, well, there's two power-ups in this game. There's the Guardian Acorn, and there's the Piece of Power. The Guardian Acorn we don't want because it gives us a text box, and it basically only allows us to take less damage. And that's not really that useful in a speedrun. The Piece of Power will increase our movement speed, as well as give us knockback on our weapon. Now, the movement speed, obviously, it's a speedrun. You sort of want that movement speed, and it is quite significant. The Piece of Power will drop every 30 enemies until after Dungeon 5, in which it will be every 35 enemies. As for the Acorn, it will drop every 12 kills without taking damage.
And both power-ups, once you have them, you lose them after taking 3 hits from enemies. Falling down pits doesn't count. Walking across spikes, falling into lava, that doesn't count. But 3 hits from enemies, you lose your power-up.
Now, the problem with Guardian Acorn is if you accidentally get it in a dungeon where you're trying to get Piece of Power, it can really give you some issues because you have to lose the Guardian Acorn before the Piece of Power will drop.
So one thing we kind of missed on GreenTunic's side, but we'll see whitewolfos do this in a second, is a thing called super jumps. You'll notice both players picked up the feather, which allows us to jump. That allows for a lot of movement tech, but also allows for one of the biggest glitches in the game that we abuse, called super jumping. That's where you clip into a wall, kind of what Cravone was talking about earlier, jump, face a different direction, perform an action like slashing your sword, shooting an arrow, sometimes just moving. And the game kind of lets you jump at a higher Z index, I guess you could call it, than you really are, and that allows us to sequence break a lot of parts, like kind of Wolfos jumping over those blocks there.
It effectively tricks the game into thinking you're coming off of a ledge. And super jumping allows us to skip so many things in this game, and you're going to see it throughout the game.
So Wolfos picking up the heart container there and picking up the D1 instrument. You can see GreenTunic on the left here kind of getting some kills. This is for the next dungeon, so he can get his Piece of Power.
So, in Dungeon 2, you're going to want to have Piece of Power in the very first room, which also presents an issue that we cut it very fine. And GT just missing Guardian Acorn there. Because it's very fine, because GreenTunic is going to get Bow Wow right now. And Bow Wow is basically RNG with a mouth. And what he does is he eats enemies when you don't want them to be eaten, and he ruins your Piece of Power counter. And because we want to get Piece of Power as early as possible in Dungeon 2, occasionally Bow Wow will eat a bit too much and we'll see Piece of Power drop outside of Dungeon 2. Now, why is that bad? If you were to pick up a Piece of Power outside of a dungeon and then go into a dungeon, you would lose Piece of Power going into the dungeon, and vice versa.
Alright, so as Cravone kind of alluded to there, Bow Wow kind of randomly eats enemies. We actually need Bow Wow to eat these flower enemies outside of the second dungeon. It's the only way to get into the dungeon is with Bow Wow, at least the intentional way. And it's just kind of random when or what enemies he eats. So yeah, we're really at the mercy of him when it comes to Piece of Power and how fast we get into this dungeon. So you can see Bow Wow actually ate that fish there. That's kind of bad for GreenTunic, but not too many eats, so it looks like he's going to get his D2 Piece of Power. getting really good RNG on Bao eating the flower there. That was really quick.
He might get on the very first kill here.
Yeah. Oh no, he actually missed it. So that's the room that you normally want to get Piece of Power in. He probably will get it off this Stalfos here. No, that's Acorn.
Oh, the Acorn may have overwritten the Piece of Power. Now that can happen sometimes, where if the Acorn and Piece of Power were going to drop on the same one, the Acorn will be the one that drops.
And then you get Piece of Power afterwards in that case, right? Yep, there it is. So very late Piece of Power actually in Dungeon 2 for GreenTunic.
Not all the time actually. Sometimes it will actually increment the timer. Particularly in Dungeon 3 this is a problem. I've never seen it happen in Dungeon 2, but I have seen it happen in Dungeon 3 before.
So whitewolfos picking up Bao, heading over to D2.
GreenTunic falling down a pit there.
Not a big time loss.
Not sure why he did that.
Yeah. He's one of the most veteran runners, right? GreenTunic actually using old strats on that room in particular to get the bracelet, lighting the torch and then killing the ghosts. There's actually a glitch that's a little faster than that. I guess he just never bothered to learn it. We'll probably see whitewolfos do that in a minute. This room that GreenTunic's on right now is kind of a puzzle room. You have to kill the Pole's Voice, the rabbit first, then the Keese, then the Stalfos. He got particularly good RNG. That Stalfos can kind of give you some trouble sometimes, but no problem for GT. And Wolfos getting their Piece of Power a little late too, but a little faster than GreenTunic, so maybe a slight edge over GT.
I think the reason why GreenTunic killed the ghosts rather than doing the glitch is his Piece of Power routing.
Oh, really?
Since
he never said that to me, so maybe I don't know. That would be an acceptable answer, well, but he's never
has he ever had Piece of Power this late?
I don't know.
It could be a strat on the fly because he got Piece of Power so late that he's having to kill extra.
So you can see GreenTunic there. Normally on that boss, we have to take the genie in the bottle, slam him against the wall 3 times by picking him up with the bracelet. But if you clip into the wall, the top wall like GreenTunic did, you can actually break the bottle in just one hit. And then a couple bombs, one bomb arrow will defeat the boss. We can see whitewolfos doing this trick a little differently than GreenTunic did. If you jump near the edge of the screen and then slash at the ghosts there, they'll kind of spawn on the other side of the screen and for whatever reason kind of go off that side of the screen and die. It's a little odd, actually. I'm not really sure why that happens.
So GreenTunic abusing a bit of a wall clip there to get out of Dungeon 2 without waiting for Bow Wow.
A little faster.
Which is so frustrating that we can't do that to get inside. Otherwise we could skip Bow Wow.
Bow Wow has a couple other benefits though. The cutscene eats, which we'll probably see in a little bit.
And the arrow refills in Almost Maze.
That's true.
And then we'll also see how he can ruin a run if either of them get bad Bow Wow RNG on Rooster Skip.
So GreenTunic's coming up to a trick here called Villa Skip. Why don't you explain that, Carbone? Because I'm not bad at it.
Okay, so Villa Skip, basically, because of the way pits work in this game, you have 1 frame of movement before you fall down a pit, and you'll hear the falling tone before this. And GreenTunic is getting a really long one here.
Yeah.
But you will eventually hear the falling tone, and then you will be able to move the next time you unbuffer. And because it also clips us into the bottom of the screen, we hold down and we're able to enter the next screen. So there we are.
That was a very bad Villa Skip. That was incredibly slow, actually.
Now, Villa Skip is not 100% RNG, but it's as good as, because the bit that's not RNG is like it's basically pixel perfect and frame perfect to get a 1 buffer. Otherwise, it's sort of like RNG on how long it's going to take you.
It's frame perfect on a counter that you don't know and can't tell. basically. So it's
Yep.
it's basically just RNG. And then GreenTunic unlocking the dungeon from the incorrect side by facing up and then kind of clipping into the keyhole there allows us to save some movement time in the overworld. And then whitewolfos heading down to Villa Skip as well, see if they can pick up some time over GreenTunic. I imagine they will be able to.
Yeah, that was a very long Villa skip.
You can see GreenTunic here killing a lot of enemies. He's hoping for a piece of power drop in a few rooms from now. We'll see if he gets it.
Another quick super jump.
Narrowly missing the acorn there. That was a little... that would make me nervous.
Now, if he had gotten the acorn, he would have had to lose the acorn before killing anything else.
Or just accept not having a piece of power in this dungeon, which isn't very good.
Piece of power can make what he's about to do very, very safe.
So that super jump there, you super jump, clink your sword off of the mini-boss, the Dodongo's there, and it allows you to kind of get to an area you're not supposed to be at yet without killing the mini-boss. Saves a good deal of time, and I hate that mini-boss, so that was one of my favorite developments over the recent years of this speedrun.
Now, we do that twice during the run, and so Piece of Power really helps there because it allows you to get a bit more distance. If you were to get that super jump wrong, you would be soft locked because you'd be stuck in the block and you'd be able to not be able to get out.
So GreenTunic just doing it the second time there, no soft lock for him.
Now the second time, if you do get stuck, you can actually boots out sometimes, but it's the first one that everyone soft locks at if they are going to soft lock at it.
Wolfos heading over to D3. I think got a little bit better of a Villa skip than GreenTunic did, but not first try.
So this is one of the bad things about having Piece of Power on GT's screen. Although he's killed the boss very quickly. The first half of this boss, you have to slash your sword to break it, and the Piece of Power effectively gives enemies invincibility frames. Because it's meant to knock enemies back, but it also gives them invincibility frames when you hit them, even though it does more damage. So, as a result of this, he can't just spam the sword on the eye. And we'll see a bit later, if he gets Piece of Power in Dungeon 5, he'll end up losing it before the boss for the same reason.
So GreenTunic heading up to a trick called Walrus Skip here, so I guess it's about time we explain bomb triggers. Bomb triggers are basically magic. If you drop 2 bombs within... Do you know what the frame window is? I don't even know if there is one.
I think it's 4 frames.
Okay. If you drop 2 bombs within 4 frames of each other, the game kind of freaks out and events just kind of happen like cutscenes. Unfortunately, you can't drop 2 bombs in the same screen within that amount of time, but you can do it in certain circumstances when you're transitioning screens, sometimes if you have a pit accessible to you. So we use that in this case. You'll see GreenTunic head up to it right now. In order to trigger a cutscene, there's a giant walrus blocking the road here. And normally you need the Ocarina and Marin, a character from the beginning of the game, to unlock this area that he's about to go to. But if we drop 1 bomb on the screen above, 1 bomb right here within 4 frames, like Cravone said, we can actually trigger this cutscene to happen without the Ocarina, without Marin, and the walrus will fall into the water and we'll be able to go to the next area. One thing you won't be able to see is that after this happens, GreenTunic will be locked out of all of his buttons besides the directional pad. So all he can do is move around right now. He can't use his feather, he can't use his bomb. In order to remedy that, he's going to go up into like a little sub area, a little cave up here.
So whitewolfos is actually soft locked.
So Wolfos will be able to save and quit out of this and walk back to that area as per tournament rules. But an unfortunate soft lock nonetheless.
Yeah, that basically happens if you don't get the timing right. You end up stuck in the block because you've not gone far enough. I'm surprised he managed to soft lock with Piece of Power. But yeah, he did try and get out of boots. It doesn't work all the time.
Just depends on where you kind of get stuck in the block.
Yeah. Now, what GreenTunic just killed, you probably won't have seen it, was Landmola. And basically, he's there before his sprite's there. So you can land 2 arrows, which kills him before he's even seen.
So whitewolfos narrowly missing another soft lock there, able to boots out, like Carbone said.
So if he did that on the first try, that would have been a soft lock as well. But because he had boots at that point, and he was in a position where he could use boots to get out, he was able to get out of that soft lock.
A little bit of trouble with the jump there. GreenTunic heading up to the Dungeon 4 keyhole, going to unlock the next dungeon. What were you about to say, Carbone?
We also didn't mention the fact you can soft lock at Walrus Skip as well.
Yeah, that's the biggest soft lock point, and you actually can't save and quit to get out of that. You have to hard reset. As per tournament rules, again, we do allow for a save file in case you do soft lock on Walrus Skip, so you can retry it. And that's kind of what we were talking about before the run started. GreenTunic had that backup file. Wolfos does not, so hopefully no soft locks there for Wolfos.
Yeah. You remember when Elfezo mentioned that you can't actually use any of your buttons except for the movement keys? If the walrus respawns, which is like frame perfect, if you get it wrong, it's frame perfect. If you get it right, it's frame perfect, etc. Now, if the walrus respawns, you can't save and quit because you can't use your buttons. You can't go into a cave because there is no cave. So it's effectively a soft lock at that point. There's also a second way you can soft lock on Walrus Skip, and that's if you don't get off the screen in time. Because then a bunny appears, and you're basically stuck on the screen. So GreenTunic getting the first of 4 obstacle skips.
Yeah, obstacle skip is kind of a neat little lineup trick that he did in that little cave area he was in. Saves less than a second. If you miss it, it's pretty costly, but everyone kind of does it because it looks cool and it is optimal.
I remember back when we used to have 3 in the run, and it was still, if you fail it once, it's slower than getting all 3 of them.
Right, but everyone still did it.
Yeah. It's sort of, we sort of do it as like a nod to each other, I guess. It's almost like an in-joke.
GreenTunic coming up to the It's a Mess room. This room's a little tough to do the way we do it. We kind of jump across that breakable block there, kind of avoid getting hit by the Tektite, open the chest. It's a tight jump and it's really annoying. He gets it after a few tries though. You'll notice that he's going to grab the dungeon item in Dungeon 4, the flippers, which allow you to swim in deep water, and then he's going to leave. He's not going to complete Dungeon 4, and that's to actually skip a side quest that normally happens after you complete the 4th dungeon, where a ghost spawns and follows you around and doesn't allow you to go into any more dungeons. You have to take the ghost to its old house. You have to take the ghost to its grave. It takes a long time. But if we don't finish Dungeon 4 just yet, we just get the item, and then come back to it later, we can actually avoid that side quest. If you get the level 2 bracelet in the 6th dungeon, and then complete Dungeon 4 afterwards, you actually avoid that whole side quest. Kind of a weird programming oddity of this game.
So whitewolfos was playing it very, very safe on Walrus Skip. He basically went into a house to reset his sub-pixels to make sure he had the right pixel in which he's on. Because so sub-pixels effectively mean there are 2 possible inputs that you have to make depending on your position with Walrus Skip. And if you reset your subpixel by going into a house and exiting again, it will effectively make it so that you always get the same pattern.
So GreenTunic heading down to Dungeon 5 now. I don't believe Piece of Power dropped yet for him. Like kind of we were explaining earlier, you're at the mercy of Bow Wow during the run. If Bow Wow eats too many enemies, you can kind of mistime your Piece of Power drop. I think GreenTunic's going to get it in D5, and it's particularly important in D5. You save about 20, almost 30 seconds, maybe somewhere between 20 and 30 seconds having Piece of Power in D5. So it's pretty costly for you not to get it. He should probably get it in this room right here.
Dungeon 5 is unanimously everyone's least favorite dungeon in this game to speedrun.
a lot of walking around, a lot of backtracking, a lot of annoying enemies.
It's the longest dungeon as well, and you remember at the start when we said if you take 3 hits with Piece of Power, you lose it. That's a very real possibility in Dungeon 5.
Yeah,
in fact,
go ahead.
he will probably lose it on purpose by the end of this dungeon as well. Because the boss is considerably harder with Piece of Power, because the immunity frames that he gets from the knockback. Even though he's not physically knocked back, he does get the immunity frames.
So GreenTunic fighting the recurring mini-boss here, Master Stalfos. On the first and last phase, takes 3 bombs to complete the phase, I guess. The second and third phase, it takes 2. So completing the first phase there. And then walking over to the second here. whitewolfos unlocking D4, heading over to D4. So it doesn't matter, once you knock the Master Stalfos, and GreenTunic having a little bit of trouble with that, once you knock him down, it doesn't really matter how fast you kind of hit him with the bombs afterwards, as long as you can get it in one cycle of him being knocked down. GreenTunic kind of missed it there, he kind of missed his setup, so it took 2, kind of almost 3 knockdown cycles there for GreenTunic.
Master Stalfos has the best hitbox in the world.
It's pretty large.
I'm not even sure the game developers understand how it works. It's very large, but so is the shield. The shield is on the left side, well, his right, but it sort of covers everywhere.
Kind of getting his setup a little better there on the third phase of this mini-boss fight.
So, the reason why Dungeon 5 is really, really sort of disgusting for a speedrunner is the position of this nightmare key that he's going for, and the position of those 2 middle Stalfos. Otherwise, this dungeon will be much, much quicker.
Yeah, this jump right here kind of circumvents getting the hook shot a little earlier. You can just time a nice boots jump over that gap, get all the way across, and pick up the boss key without having to go all the way back to the beginning of the dungeon and grabbing the hook shot. It's a pretty tight jump, easy to mess up.
It's much easier with Piece of Power.
And GreenTunic missing the blooper manipulation there. I'm going to have to give him trouble about that after the run.
Was he trying to manipulate? Because it looked like a decent damage boost to me.
I don't know. I'll have to ask him. He's the one that taught me how to manip the bloopers. And
he just got another small damage boost there. I'm not sure all of these damage boosts are intentional, though, so they may look good, but they're not intended.
I think he's at maybe 2 hits of damage. Does that sound right?
Yeah, he's on 2.
Yeah, so he doesn't want to get hit again until he gets close to the boss, as Carbone was saying. We don't want to have Piece of Power for the boss fight of this dungeon. It's a little more difficult. But you don't want to lose it too early.
Having Piece of Power for the boss fight basically means you will have to 3-cycle it unless you're a Tass or Zorlax.
Right. Yeah, I was just about to say, I think Zorlax prefers it with the Piece of Power. So
Zorlax, like the only runner that can do a 2-cycle with Piece of Power. Because he actually slashes a sword before he puts out the hook shot.
Wolfos finishing up the first half of Dungeon 4 here, grabbing the flippers. Having a little bit of trouble on the gels here.
Did we explain why we don't finish Dungeon 4 now?
Yeah, I explained that.
I think we did.
Ghost side quest, yeah.
Now, the trigger point for the ghost to not spawn is actually Power Bracelet.
Yeah, level 2 bracelet from D6.
Dungeon 6. So we'll be completing Dungeon 4 after Dungeon 6. So GreenTunic losing Piece of Power in exactly the right place, just before the boss.
Now he's on the boss Wall Snake, or at least I call him Wall Snake. This boss, kind of as Carbone was talking about earlier, there's 4 holes in the wall that are opening up right now. There's a tail going around in the middle trying to hit you. You have to avoid the tail and pull the snake out of the wall with your hook shot. It's random what hole he appears in, but we kind of use a setup that allows us to get it in just 2 cycles. Takes 8 slashes total with your sword. GreenTunic getting 4 there. That's what he wanted. Yeah, he got it. 2 cycle. So that's the optimal strat there. You could actually get 5 hits on the first cycle, but it's tricky. So that's basically the optimal strat there.
Getting 5 hits on the first cycle is equivalent to getting 4 hits with Piece of Power. Also, fun fact, you can't actually jump over that tail. If you try, you still get hit.
I actually didn't know that. So Wolfos starting Dungeon 5 here. I think their Piece of Power count is going to be a little messed up because of the soft lock and the reset. When you reset, your Piece of Power count resets. So it's probably hard to say where Wolfos' Piece of Power count is right now.
Having some trouble with the Helmosaurs.
Yeah, those Helmosaurs are annoying. Have to kill them from the back. 2 sword slashes without Piece of Power, 1 sword slash with Piece of Power. Another reason why Piece of Power... yes.
Some runners decide to do power. By runners, I mean 1 runner.
GreenTunic heading over to the Armos maze now, another area where Bow Wow is kind of helpful.
The Helmosaurs become much easier once you got the hook shot, and then there's only 2 left. So whitewolfos getting Piece of Power a little bit late, but this might also stop him from getting Piece of Power later on in the dungeon, because it is possible in Dungeon 5 to get a Piece of Power right at the start, lose it, and then get another Piece of Power right at the end.
That's true.
And in that case, you don't actually want it, because you want to lose Piece of Power at that point.
So GreenTunic's kind of walking up to sort of a mini-boss here. I think Armos Knight is the name. Normally, you kind of have to avoid his ground pounds, hit him with spin slashes, but we have something we like to call boot strats. Let's see if GreenTunic gets it here. Allows us to do kind of a quick kill on him. Looks really neat. Yep, that's textbook boot strats. Everybody kind of has their own way of doing it. That's kind of the old school way. Good execution, though, by GreenTunic.
Boot strats, to me, just strikes me as something that looks very speedrunny. Like, you watch a speedrun and that's the kind of thing you're expecting to see.
So GreenTunic leaving Armos Maze here. He's going to be counting on Bow Wow to get some of these enemies for him and maybe taking a couple damage boosts along the way. Those are intentional, or at least they were. And I think any further damage boosts are probably not.
There's one which is basically necessary unless you want to sort of wait. I wonder if he's going to get the cutscene eat. So,
oh yeah. Go ahead.
Bow Wow doesn't just eat enemies or your chances of Piece of Power. He also eats cutscenes when he feels like it.
I believe the game treats cutscenes as enemies on the screen, right?
Yeah, it treats them as sprites. And Bow Wow just ate one there.
Yeah, so normally you have to wait for that dungeon to kind of come up out of the ground after you unlock it on that screen. But if you kind of manipulate the game a little bit by shooting a bomb arrow into the side of the wall like you saw GreenTunic do, that makes the cutscene show up where that bomb exploded. And since the cutscene is treated as an enemy, Bow Wow can eat enemies. Bow Wow go ahead and eats the cutscene stops, and you just go into Dungeon 6. It's a very odd glitch, but helpful nonetheless. Wolfos having a little bit of trouble with the boss key jump in D5.
The boss key jump is very difficult for newer runners, because the timing is very precise on it. It gets it.
GreenTunic picking up the level 2 bracelet. Like we said, that's the trigger actually to skip the Dungeon 4 post side quest. So after Dungeon 6, you'll see GreenTunic go back to Dungeon 4 and complete it. Because we actually still do need all of the dungeon instruments, the items at the end of the dungeon, to complete this game. Despite all the glitches that we know. Well, unless you want to wrong warp, of course.
It's GreenTunic. He knows quite a lot about wrong warping.
It's true.
He's doing the swag hookshot strats. So you can actually get... Oh, we did get immunity as well. So what he's done there
Go
is...
ahead.
If you're right next to something you can hookshot into and you hookshot it, you'll gain immunity to all damage on that screen.
So Wolfo's taking a death there in D5. Not the most costly death. It was kind of near the beginning of the dungeon, but, you know, costly. It costs a little bit of time nonetheless. Those Helmosaurs are tricky.
Which screen did he actually die in?
This one right here.
Alright. So the reason why I asked is that in this rule set, obviously you can't save and quit, which also means that you can't death warp. And the ruling we have on deaths is that if you were to die in a dungeon, you have to go back to where you were before you died, before you can continue.
GreenTunic doing a few super jumps there to kind of sequence break the dungeon a little bit. That last super jump he did actually has soft lock potential, but the lineup is pretty consistent and he had no trouble with it.
Yeah, it's there's sort of a window, well, it's sort of like a range of frames, not frames, a range of pixels that you have to be on. And if you're like too high in that range, you'll end up soft locking.
GreenTunic getting past the infamous horse heads. The horse head puzzle room that he just got past. There's two kind of chess piece horse heads on the ground. You have to lift them up and throw them. They have a 50-50 chance each of landing either on the side or, you know, standing up. You have to get both of them to stand up to get past the room. It's kind of just RNG whether you get it or not. He got it on second try, which is pretty good. You can kind of get really screwed there by RNG, so...
We have tried as hard as we can as a community to get rid of horse heads, but somehow we still keep finding a route that has horse heads in.
It's GreenTunic fighting the Dungeon 6 boss Facade. 5 bombs to the face. You can actually get 3 bombs early before the fight really even starts. Probably the easiest boss in the game.
Yeah, some people say Anglerfish is the easiest boss in the game, but I personally think
Yeah.
Death Card is much easier.
I know you probably wouldn't say that.
I wasn't even meaning myself there. I was like, objectively, Facade is easier, especially in the speedrun. I guess as a casual, when you don't know you can use bombs, then it might be sort of a bit of a challenge. Whereas the Anglerfish is still easy all the time.
There actually is a bomb trigger that you can do right where GreenTunic is now. He opted not to do it, probably just to save bombs for safety strats. But you can actually skip this portions of that cutscene that he just matched through there. Wolfo's having a little bit of trouble with the wall snake, yeah. Kind of doing old strats, not the completely consistent way.
Yeah, the old strats is RNG dependent, because of course you don't know which side of the wall is going to come out.
It's a little bit easier because it's not a tight lineup that you have to hit, but it is, like Carbone said, RNG dependent, so Wolfo's is kind of at the mercy of the game right now. Finishing up the boss, though.
Now, something that could have happened there for Wolfos, because he got 3 hits on the first cycle and 4 on the second, the snake could have actually come out the wall and explode on him, which is something that only happens when Wall Snake has 7 out of 8 hits taken. And it can be pretty scary at times.
GreenTunic finishing up the second half of Dungeon 4 now that he has the level 2 bracelet. Kind of going to do a nice little swag super jump here. Super jump off the left wall, hit the P-hat with the sword in the air, get knocked down onto the higher ledge below. Looks pretty cool. Nice chest turn.
It's good to have just one P-hat jump in this game. We don't need one in Dungeon 7.
And GreenTunic getting up to the Dungeon 4 boss, Anglerfish. Usually use, depending on the runner, but 3 bomb arrows on this boss will kill it. Shoutouts to my friend Cravone here. Everyone knows the way Cravone speedruns LADX.
I'm the only one that actually thought you could use hookshot to pick up that heart.
To be fair, I didn't know that you couldn't do that until I saw your video, so... Well, not your video, Bamboo's video, but... Nonetheless, I didn't know either.
Yeah, in 2D sections underwater, which, like, that's one of the only places you can't actually hookshot down or up.
Yeah, just to the side. So GreenTunic running up to a trick called Rooster Skip. You care to explain Rooster Skip for us, Gravone?
I was gonna hope you were going to.
I can explain it. So
Okay.
there's a giant pit blocking you from getting the Dungeon 7 key. So the Dungeon 7 is the next 7. We need the key first. In order to get over the giant pit, you need to get not really an item, but you need to awaken this long dead rooster using the ocarina. You have to go get a song to do it. We don't have the ocarina. We don't have that song. So we need a way to get across this giant pit, which you'll see in a minute. And there's actually a trick that you can do. There's a particular frame after you shoot your hook shot. If you're over a pit, on that frame, you can actually jump, even though you're over a pit. You're over no ground. So what we do is we kind of jump over this giant pit, shoot a hook shot, because the way pits work, you can kind of still do some actions while you're hovering over the pit. And then frame perfect hit the feather, the jump, and then use that to kind of fly across this pit. It'll make a little bit more sense once you see it, but you actually have to do it at least twice, so it's 2 frame perfect inputs. Game runs at about 60 frames per second, so it's a pretty tight execution trick.
I just want to quickly say I'm loving the third tri-obstacle skip by GreenTunic.
So you can see he's trying to get that frame. Getting pretty good RNG because Bow Wow can screw you up here. He can block your hook shot. And he gets it first try. He had to do 3, actually. Last one's a little easier, but he's getting it first. If you miss that, it's actually about 30 seconds of time loss because these pits, as you're about to see, spit you out down here, and you have to run all the way back up to that little sub area. So pretty costly to miss that trick and a pretty difficult trick to execute. So I'm sure he's glad he got it first try.
There are some buffer methods, and I know a lot of runners are going to be using buffer methods in this tournament. Just playing it safe because the possible time loss from falling can be so significant in some races.
Yeah, I think ideal buffered strats on Rooster Skip versus ideal unbuffered loses about 11 seconds, so it is definitely faster than getting its second try unbuffered, but I think a lot of the older runners like GreenTunic opts to go unbuffered, myself included.
So the game decided he was going to get Piece of Power there, whether he wanted it or not.
Yeah, generally we don't get... I don't think many runners route in D7 Piece of Power to their run.
To be honest, after Dungeon 5, it's basically like, just hope. Just hope you get it somewhere good.
Yeah, I know some runners try to route it into D6, but it's still kind of just RNG dependent at a certain point.
Yeah, we have Bow Wow for so much of the run, also Bow Wow eating another cutscene.
Yep, skipping the D7 unlock cutscene, which actually takes quite a bit. A little faster to have Bow Wow eat the cutscene and leave the screen and come back.
Yeah, over the course of the run, with so much time with Bow Wow, where he could be eating enemies or he could not be eating enemies, there's so much deviation in the route that you can't really accurately sort of predict where your Piece of Power is going to be later on in the run.
So GreenTunic doing a series of bomb triggers here. Yeah, you can go ahead and explain that.
This is the most hilarious thing in Dungeon. It looks so stupid. As a casual, like, if there was a casual watching a speedrun on this, they'll think, oh, that's really, really stupid. But we can use bomb triggers to blow up these pillars.
Yeah, normally you're supposed to go get this giant metal ball that you carry around and throw it at these pillars to knock them down, but just some bomb triggers do the job just fine. We skip a lot of this dungeon, actually.
Yeah. So what he's going to be trying now is one of the worst RNG points in the game, Goomba Surf, and it can be so frustrating.
Opting to go to
oh no,
old boss key skip method. So there is a trick called Goomba Surf, like Cravone was talking about, that's RNG dependent. He just did a super jump to get across that pit. This is the old quote-unquote way to do the boss key skip. He got it first try. It's more consistent, but it's a lot slower. We'll see if Wolfos goes for the Goomba Surf or not.
So, GreenTunic's going to be fighting this boss with bombs. We used to fight with the fire rod.
Some of us still do.
Because it only takes 3 hits. But it also only takes 3 hits with the bombs. And like as a result of it only taking 3 hits, we can basically skip like half of the fight. Fortunately, it's the annoying half of the fight that we can skip.
So we'll see if whitewolfos avoids soft lock here. Looks like a good lineup. And gets the super jump, so yep, no problems there. Let's see how whitewolfos horse heads go here. GreenTunic got second try, so not much room for Wolfos to pick up time here. Getting it first try though, actually, so a little more optimal than GreenTunic.
So what GreenTunic did there is that he pulled up the save and quit menu, which allowed him to resume his movement whilst falling, which is how he avoided falling into that pit to fall down to Dungeon 4. So what he's gonna try is he's gonna try right now to skip Marin. So Marin needs help, she's stuck there, and like a speedrunner we're saying, I'm sorry, that's gonna take time. So
yeah, if you just kind of jump across the bottom of that bridge there, it skips like a 45-second cutscene. Pretty costly if you do run into her though. Yeah,
like we're not just talking frames. It's a really, really long cutscene.
Yeah. Even with the Japanese text and fast mashing. So we skipped the waifu.
I must say I've never seen someone actually land on Marin.
Oh, I've done it a couple times.
I haven't. Just don't do it on Tuesday.
I might need to do it on Tuesday. Just give you a chance to catch up, maybe. So GreenTunic going through that wall of flame there without the Dungeon 7 item. You'll notice we didn't pick up an item in Dungeon 7. Skip getting the mirror shield. You can just kind of dash through that fire, no problem. Doing another bomb trigger here to kind of trigger an event to happen that allows us to open Dungeon 8. Normally you need the Ocarina for this as well.
So we're sort of having a little bit of banter here because we are going to be racing each other on Tuesday. So some of these are sort of in-jokes, and we have a lot of in-jokes in the LADX community. This community is so awesome. Everyone's got a sense of humor. Everyone's friendly. If you ever need help running, you ask in the Discord and people will help you.
It truly is a great community. GreenTunic's actually one of the people that taught me the speedrun along with Disclude, and Wolfos hangs out in my chat sometimes. Cravone hangs out in my chat sometimes. So even though Cravone, I don't like the guy, but he's a good guy,
Just wish studies were more balanced. Right, okay, so GreenTunic killing Blano here. Blano's very straightforward in the speedrun. We used to have a way to do a super jump to skip him. We also have a super jump here which he's going to use to completely skip switch blocks. Some runners think it saves like minutes. It probably only saves about 30-odd seconds as a whole.
Pretty significant, though.
It is significant, especially when you consider how close the world record can be sometimes. A few months ago, we had 3 seconds separating the top 3 runners.
So GreenTunic's going to be doing a repeat of the Dungeon 4 mini-boss cue ball here, and then he's going to be going to everybody's favorite room, the D8 puzzle block room. The way this puzzle block works, it's coming up. You have to push it, and then your D-pad controls the puzzle block, and you have to cover the entire floor. You have to kind of erase all the pits here with your D-pad. It's really easy to screw up, and if you screw it up, you have to walk out of the room and try again. You can kind of do some jumping optimization. We'll see if GreenTunic opts to do that. Pretty costly if you screw it up. Really finicky trick. Looks like he's going to get it first try, though. I know he particularly hates that room.
Oh, he didn't save and quit.
Yeah, you're not supposed to save and quit there.
Someone once save and quitted there.
Yeah, on a pretty good PB pace, yeah, someone once did that, and it was pretty costly. Kind of had to restart their run. And wait another 2 weeks to PB instead.
He threw a towel, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, something like that. So GreenTunic on the D8 boss here, Hothead. Hothead's invincibility frames are really weird. You kind of shoot the magic rod at him and hope for the best is what I do. GreenTunic getting a 1 cycle.
Yeah, there's a setup now where you can get a 1 cycle if you get the second phase right. You have to actually wait until he's falling to get the second phase right.
And the most important graphical glitch, Wang. He could have kept it on the screen a little longer, but at least we got
I thought I was a little bit short there.
Yeah.
I mean,
no one likes a short Wang, right?
Do we want to say that's borderline bannable? Not on the screen for long enough?
You know, it's GreenTunic. We'll let it go.
He did put the effort in to get third try obstacle skip. So I think it can be pardoned.
Yeah, absolutely.
So whitewolfos heading to Rooster Skip now, and GreenTunic heading towards the egg.
Yep, so GreenTunic heading up to the final area. You're supposed to open up the Windfish egg, which the boss is, with the ocarina. We still don't have the ocarina, so he's going to opt for another bomb trigger here.
I hear some people always ask, is mayonnaise an instrument? And I always feel like saying no, but bombs are.
So Wolfos opting for the buffered method of Rooster Skip, but unfortunately failing it. So this is what happens when you fail Rooster Skip. You kind of have to run back up here, re-equip boots. Pretty costly, unfortunately, for such a hard trick.
Was he doing the map buffer method?
I think so. I'm not familiar with the buffered strats, so...
So, he basically fell there like almost an instant fall. There are positions in that room where if you were to land a jump, you would insta-fall, and there's literally nothing you can do about those. Those are basically pixels on those pits where you can't recover it. Okay, so he's doing the more modern buffer method.
Who's still taking a fall there, though. So GreenTunic's in the last area here. This area is actually a maze. You have to go get a magnifying glass and read a book, and that'll tell you the path through the maze. It's different every playthrough, but if you don't do that, if you don't read the book, the path is actually always the same. It's left, left, up, right, up, left, up, lurulu.
So this pattern is the default in the game files, and the pattern is only generated once you read that book. So we just don't read that book. I mean, we're not going to do the trade sequence for it either.
So GreenTunic getting a tech skip with the last bomb trigger of the game, going for a blob quick kill where you line up on a specific pistol, slash your sword. It's kind of RNG whether you get it or not. He didn't get it, so he's going to have to pull out his powder, do a couple hits with powder, no problem. Little time lost, but no big deal.
whitewolfos getting Rooster Skip third try.
Now it's the Aghanim fight. It's same as Link to the Past. You got to get 4 hits on Aghanim. First 2 are guaranteed. Second 2 have 50-50 chance of being blue balls. So we'll see what kind of RNG GreenTunic gets here.
Now, in A Link to the Past, there's a cap on the amount of blue balls you can possibly get. In this game, there isn't. You can get an infinite amount of balls. The maximum anyone's ever gotten is 17, and 2 people have gotten them.
The GreenTunic getting 0, very good RNG.
Got 0.
Getting a quick kill on the Moldorm section of the fight here.
So that's actually a 1 in 4 chance to get 0 blue balls.
Yeah, it's 50-50, and then there's only 2 times that you can get blue balls. So, yeah, 1 in 4. Going through the next couple phases, no problem. Those are pretty simple. And now he's on the last phase, Deathel. Deathel's kind of RNG dependent too. 16 hits with the arrows, kills the boss, but you gotta wait for it to open its eye first. When it opens its eye, just RNG. Each eye opening, you can get 4 hits if you time it right. He's getting 4 hits on that one. Good RNG so far. Yep, GreenTunic gets a 4 cycle. Good RNG to boot.
So this is going to be just under a minute shy of his PB.
Yeah, really good run. 55 is pretty solid. Time stops when the screen goes totally white. So 55.46 for GreenTunic.
His SRL time is a 55.48. And for the tournament, we use SRL time rather than his actual timer. But yeah, that's a very competitive time. On the leaderboard, there's only 9 people that have ever gone quicker than what he just did in that race, including himself. So whitewolfos just bomb triggering. Now, I know some runners opt to do the screen transition for these bomb triggers, and they tend to buffer it as well.
This dungeon is really why we have to be careful about our bomb count. I think you need, what is it, 9 bombs total? No.
You need 12 total.
12 total.
But there is a pickup in the dungeon later on. But there's basically 9 from when you enter the dungeon to where the pickup is.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I think that's why GreenTunic kind of skipped a couple of the potential bomb triggers he could have done to save himself a little bit of time to have better, chance of getting through D7. Hey, GreenTunic. Hello? GreenTunic joining us here in the voice chat, but it looks like he's having a little bit of trouble.
I must say the most soul-crushing thing about bomb triggers in Dungeon 7 is when you spend all of your bombs in the pits. So whitewolfos are not going for Goomba Surf either. We won't see that today.
It is possible to kind of, not exactly soft lock, but almost soft lock on this trick as well. You can actually kind of get kicked out into the area above where the P-hat is on the other side of those blocks. If you do that, you don't have any keys to get back through that key block, and you can't go anywhere else, but you can kind of do a super jump back in. It's not very consistent.
Oh, we heard GreenTunic.
Hey, my mic works now.
There he is. Congratulations on the run, GreenTunic. 55.48 was the SRL time. It's really good, man.
Yeah, that's not too bad. My god, Villaskip was, how many buffers was it?
No, I don't even know. I lost count.
We lost count.
Yeah, that was a lot. I don't know if I don't know what I was doing. I feel like it was me that was messing up there, but...
Well, I mean, the only thing you could have, influenced is the position, really.
Yeah, I think I just paused way too early, and then that messed me up a bit. But, the rest of the run was okay, so...
So tell me about your BST.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even get it. I just ended up going for the damage boost off the blooper instead.
I was a little surprised. I was ready to talk about your blooper manipulation in D5, but yeah, there was no BST to be had. So White Wolf was taking an unfortunate death there to Evil Eagle, so gonna have to walk through the dungeon again. Kind of having a little trouble with the first super jump here. So what did you think overall about the run, GreenTunic? What were the parts that you were a little disappointed in? What were the parts that you were happy with?
I liked the pit walk to D1.
I think everyone in chat did as well.
It took 2 attempts, but I guess it was worth it.
What about your third try obstacle skip?
I had to get it. You just gotta keep trying. But
That half a second is worth those 4 seconds of pitfalling.
yeah, I don't even know if that really counts as getting both, but
We'll allow it. We were a little disappointed though in your Wang. It was a little short.
Yeah, it didn't last too long.
hey, at least I got the Wang, you know?
Yeah, I was glad you did it, but yeah, we thought you could have kept it on screen a little longer.
Yeah, I should have done
next time maybe.
PGH the way he keeps it on there for like 10 seconds.
Yeah, we were sort of questioning whether that was bannable, what you did.
What?
Well, it wasn't on for that long, you see. But we decided because you made the effort to go for third try obstacle skip, that sort of redeemed you.
To be fair, I didn't think that you should be banned. It was Cravone who suggested that.
As they're putting words into my mouth.
I think you did say that. So whitewolfos coming up to Evil Eagle for the second attempt here.
So, GreenTunic, you did a different way of doing the ghost room in Dungeon 2. Was that due to piece of power?
The ghost room. Oh, I've always done that old strat. You mean with the powder?
Cravone was giving you too much credit. He thought you were correcting some of your piece of power count, but I said that you just never learned the new strat.
I know it. It's just one of those things. Like you just kind of stick to some strats that.
I mean, to be fair, it didn't exactly hurt your POP routing.
Oh no, it takes 1 hit, but like unless I mess up the rest of the dungeon, I'm not going to lose POP.
Whitewolfos unfortunately taking another death to Eagle Eagle here. I say Evil Eagle? Evil Eagle.
Yeah, this boss is quite difficult for people who aren't used to doing the boss with bombs.
Yeah, that's why you see some runners opt to go actually the old route and go to D8 first, get the magic. Makes the boss fight a little easier than with the bombs.
Yeah, so, some people like give it a try, give up on it, go to Dungeon 8 and then come back for it. It's not quicker to do that.
Yeah, if you
D7 can be really bad. I don't know if you noticed. I didn't go for Goomba Surf at all. Didn't even attempt it.
Wolfos didn't either, and I can't blame either of you. That trick is just awful.
I mean, if it was a PB attempt, I'd have to, but just for a tourney run, I'm just like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, I think the consistent strat of P-hat jump is good in a race. And you can see Wolfos there jumping on top of the Goombas to pick up a couple extra hearts. If you jump on top of the Goomba's head, it'll always drop. So kind of like a safety strat there. And yeah, if you fall during the final text of Evil Eagle, you actually have to do the boss fight again.
Also, if you go off screen without picking up the hearts, you have to do it again as well. Done that one before.
I've never been so good with the hookshot strats. Although it looks like he's going for the, or she's going for the bomb throw method. Yeah, bomb throw method is the best one in my opinion.
I think Fire Rod is better, personally.
Fire Rod is certainly easiest.
I preferred when we still did Dungeon 8 before Dungeon 7, because reverse rooster skip was a thing.
Yeah, that is true. That was a tragedy once that was routed out.
And I'm not sure I like how the dungeon order is almost the casual dungeon order now.
Yeah, except for D4, I guess.
Yeah, like...
That's one thing we didn't mention earlier. If you fall down that ledge like Wolfos just did, you actually fall down a pit and then get kicked out towards, you know, a lower area of the map. But if you open up your save and quit menu, I think, Kravone, you said it allows you to use your movement and actually get past that pit that you're supposed to fall down. Kind of a little quicker strat to get to D8.
If you were to save and quit, well, if you were to bring up the save and quit menu, but then not hold down after that, you would still fall in. You have to hold down after the save and quit menu.
Also, when you're falling down like that, you can't open the pause menu. However, if you open the save and quit menu, like you do with that trick there, you are then able to open the pause menu after that. I'm not sure why that is, but initially you can't open the pause menu at all.
LADX, that's the reason why. That's also the reason why wrong warping exists in this game. Did we explain the bomb trigger before Dungeon 8?
I mentioned that it happened, but I didn't really go into depth on it.
Well, I guess it's not really too much to explain. It's a standard bomb trigger like everything else.
Yeah, screen transition bomb trigger allows us to... Oh, I'm going the wrong way there. Allows us to skip the ocarina that we skipped earlier already. It actually activates the turtle boss, which I don't know if it... Does it normally have a hitbox, or does it only not have a hitbox when you use the bomb trigger method?
It normally doesn't have a hitbox until a few seconds after it's woken up.
I guess with the bomb trigger, it's... Well, no, I don't know. Yeah, so you'll see here on the bomb trigger, this turtle head kind of mini-boss fight starts, and you're supposed to fight that boss and get into D8. But actually, once the head's kind of moving and waking up, you can kind of just walk right through it and go straight into D8. It's really odd. It's just kind of not a hitbox there.
What some people might not have realized there is that White Wolf... Ooh!
Taking a death, unfortunately.
Died to the bird. So what whitewolfos did there is they killed the moblin before doing the bomb trigger. Now you have to actually do this because bomb triggers have some sort of interaction with stuff on the previous screen and enemies. So you have to kill the moblin, otherwise it's not going to work.
So you'll see Wolfos just walked straight up through the turtle's head here, avoiding the boss fight entirely.
Also, another strange thing is that if you bomb trigger the turtle head to awaken, I think it only has, or it has a very small amount, but it might only be like 1 HP. So you can just hit it once with the sword and it will instantly kill it.
Did not know that.
Yeah, but if you just awaken it normally with the ocarina, it has like full health. I'm not sure why it lowers the health when you bomb trigger it, but yeah, just 1 hit and it's dead.
Probably skip some code activation to say, hey, give this boss health or something. Still really weird though. Yeah, that used to be... That's kind of like the backup strat. If you, for some reason, miss clipping into it and getting into D8, you just hit it with the sword once.
My theory is that the game developers knew about bomb triggering and it was some sort of developer tool.
They knew it was going to be a nod to speedrunning, which wasn't probably even a thing yet.
Oh no, it's not for speedrunning, but just so they can test the game without having to get the ocarina.
So Wolfos going through the sub-area here, and then heading up to the Blano fight. It is possible for Blano to hit you back to the beginning of the dungeon, is that correct? I've actually never had that happen to me. Alright, I guess that is correct. There it is.
I've had it happen to me before in a run. I've also died to Blano before in a run. It can be quite difficult to someone new to the game, well, new to speedrunning. And casually, it's probably the hardest mini boss.
Wolfos picking up the magic rod. I think we missed the Jesus jump too in GreenTunic's run.
Oh yeah, I think we were focusing on whitewolfos'. Yeah, it was heading towards Rooster Skip.
Oh, that's right.
That's the one going to Hearthead?
Yeah, that Jesus jump.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was just like, I think I got a 1 buffer on it.
Yeah, we just didn't talk about the trick in general, really.
Oh.
We were just on some other subject, maybe banter. I don't even know.
I think it was banter, actually. Oh yeah, we were talking about saving quitting on this next chest.
That's true. Yeah.
Nice.
So everyone does this room differently.
That's actually my method right there without the jumps.
Yeah, that's exact. No, not quite what I did, but pretty much.
Yeah, yours is slightly different.
I always sort of go along the bottom first and then go along the top after. Because then you get 3 straight jumps.
So
But
coming up
it's
here is the Jesus jump we were talking about. If you pause on the same frame that you drop lava or water, if you don't have the flippers, you can actually jump out. Can you do that without pause buffering?
I wanna say no.
Without pausing at all?
Yeah, like if you were just to time the jump correctly.
No, you have to pause.
So that Jesus jump actually allowed Wolfos to get a clip into the bottom wall, which allowed them to get into this boss room without getting, without going through a sub area. Saves a little bit of time.
It also uses the same sort of mechanics as Villa Skip. Because when you jump, it actually clips you down a pixel, just like Villa Skip would, which is how we can get the wall clip.
Wolfos missing the wang there. Kind of disappointing, to be honest.
But she's a female runner.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna correct you earlier on that, but so because we bomb trigger the turtle head there and don't kill it to get into D8, you're kind of still stuck in it when you come out of D8. You can kind of just like wiggle your way out and then head over to the windfish egg. Getting stuck on a like there, that'll happen. Yeah, you can actually clip through those.
I'm sorry, but that was the most brilliant wall clip I've ever seen.
the boots
jumped into it, yeah. So going to be bomb triggering the egg open now.
Someone really needs to find a way to get Bow Wow to eat this next cutscene. Probably the longest cutscene in the run, isn't it?
I think so. Like, people have tried so much.
Yeah, I don't think there's a way. It's just the way the cutscene is and the way that the egg opens. Even if you left the screen and came back midway through the cutscene, the egg wouldn't be open.
Now, I believe the sprite... I think there is still a sprite on the screen. I believe it's probably above the egg.
Yeah, representing the cutscene that Bow Wow would normally eat, are you saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, getting Bow Wow there with a bomb trigger would be very difficult. I think we've tried before with the ocarina as well, and he wasn't able to do it with the ocarina either.
Yeah, he doesn't eat any kind of bomb arrow. It's just a very strange cutscene in general, compared to the other ones.
So we'll see a repeat of the same path through the maze here. Left, left, up, right, right, up, left, up.
We can actually bomb trigger that cutscene without all the instruments, but it will still only play the instruments we've got.
Yeah, that's the reason we still get all the instruments in this run, I suppose.
Yeah.
Fortunately, if you do it, you don't need to listen to all of it. You can like skip out of it if you don't have all the instruments.
Wolfos getting the tech skip going up for the blob quick kill. See if they get a little bit better RNG than GreenTunic did. Oh, I missed timing the spin slash though.
Though I will say GreenTunic got 0 boo walls.
Yeah, you got exceptionally good Nightmare
pretty
RNG.
lucky.
Yeah. Even the Death Roll phase was pretty decent, and you got the 4 cycle as well.
Yeah, good. Everything good other than the blob, and even that wasn't terrible because it didn't do the sink into the ground on the second one.
You're sort of using up all your luck. It's going to be gone by the time the knockouts come round.
I think it was just making up for that Villa skip luck.
That's true, yeah. That
Well,
was
possibly, yeah. That
Yeah.
was.
very bad Villa skip luck.
I was able to explain the entire Villa skip whilst you were actually doing it.
Yeah, it was actually kind of nice for us.
It's like if we could stop a run, say, "Can you stop here, please? We need to explain this next bit."
Wolfos getting some bad RNG on the blue balls here. Very bad RNG.
3 in a row.
Yeah.
Let's hope this is not another 17.
Yeah, I usually think 1 or 2 is
Awesome.
average. 0 is really good.
What's the most we've had in the tournament so far? I think someone got 6 the other day, didn't they?
Yeah, something like that. I think it might have been 7, actually. I can't remember who that was, though.
Oh, this is 5 already, in a row as well. He's not even had one good ball yet.
There's one.
This is what I was saying when it's not certain Aghanim's ever going to give you a good ball. He could give you bad ones all night. I think he's on. Is he on 8 now?
I think that was 7?
I think that's
I think-
7. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Pika Pals had 7 last night. Yeah.
So he wasn't on the right pixel to get the quick kill there. There's there's more than one pixel actually. There's a few pixels in this room where you can stand that when you spin slash and slash this Moldorm, you can actually keep him stun locked, so you can keep slashing, so you don't have to deal with his moving around.
Yeah, the lineup's a little tight, and the timing's very tight, in my opinion.
Yeah, you have to line up very quickly. You basically got the time between Aghanim and the spawn, and that's not a lot of time.
So Wolfo's a little low on health here because of all the blue balls. Hopefully no deaths to Deathel, though. Getting very low here. Half a heart.
And Dethel's chasing. That you don't want that to happen. You need to get Dethel back under control.
Oof, that was really close. There we go. Oh, no. So I think Wolfos might still has enough arrows to go do the boss fight again.
You need 16 arrows to do this.
Yeah,
So
not
the
a ton of
problem-
room for misses, but 20 should be enough.
The problem there is that once you Dethel's sort of programmed to position right in front of you, right in front of Link, just to the north. So if you stay still, he will stay still in front of you. However, if you start moving around, he'll start moving around, and he'll move around quite erratically, and that makes it really difficult to get back control of the fight.
White Wolfos currently has a 1 hour and 25 minutes and 44 seconds PB. So there still is, I believe, room for PB here.
Have you got notes written down on paper?
Maybe.
That's dedication.
It's 3 sticky notes, so it's not as much dedication as I guess it could have been.
I've got 5 Chrome tabs up. Oh yeah, that's the point. Even if he does PB, this one's been validated by the soft lock.
Hopefully Wolfos gets a little bit better RNG on the blue balls here. That's kind of one of the reasons they were so low on health, was because those blue balls are kind of unavoidable if you're trying to get the get through the boss fight quickly. We do missed the text skip, so we do get to listen to the music at least this time.
GreenTunic, you may have missed it, but whitewolfos actually soft locked on the Dongo skip.
It's probably the biggest soft lock risk of the run, to be honest.
I want to say it's more risky than Walrus Skip.
I would say so, yeah.
Walrus Skip is all about knowing which pixel you're on, and like you have time to work out which pixel you're on. But the Dongo Skip is something you have to do very quickly. Yeah, he's been his time is invalidated because he had to save and quit out of a softlock in Dungeon 3. Now, while that's legal in the tournament rules, as for the actual leaderboard on speedruns.com, save and quitting isn't allowed under any circumstances.
So as Gravone pointed out earlier, I'd like to see Wolfos trying to push Deathel a little bit towards the top of the dungeon here. But getting a little bit better execution, I think, this time around.
I think he's got it under control now.
There we go.
Now, if you ever wanted to see an out-of-control Deathel, any percent, I think it's Riddler that uses the bow.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Any of Riddler's runs in any percent, you'll see what happens when Deathel gets out of control. So, whitewolfos has finished with an SRL time of 1 hour, 22 minutes, and 8 seconds, which is more than 4 minutes quicker than his actual PB. Although this is invalidated, it does mean that it can certainly go quicker.
Hello, White Wolfos. I just pulled you into commentary too. Maybe. So what was that? That was a 122 even?
122, 122.08.
Hello, White Wolfos. I just pulled you into commentary too. Oh, come on, I got some repeat sound here. Maybe. So what was that? That was a 122 even?
How do you think that went, White Wolfos? 122.08.
Maybe Wolfos having a little bit of trouble with the mic.
It might be the same issue I had the other day. So, how do you think that went, White Wolfos?
Maybe Wolfos having a little bit of
Yeah, I just had to go into the Discord settings and reset it to my headset.
Yeah, the problem is when you've got streaming software, like Discord doesn't seem to like streaming software sometimes.
All right, take 2. Wolfos, can you hear us? Can we hear you? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know how much time we have here because we do have a tight schedule. I know they have X3 coming up soon.
Just working through some technical issues here.
Yeah, I know that Speedrun 2 is supposed to, or I'm sorry, Speed Gaming 2 is supposed to start Mega Man X3 in about 3 minutes, so I'm not sure how much time we have here. Oh, okay, they're using the web app. I'm not really sure.
Okay. I'm not sure we're going to get an interview then. Shall we wrap up then?
Yeah, but I think that's about it for us. Any final words, Cravone, GreenTunic?
Well, I think that was a brilliant run from both runners.
Agreed.
Yep, it was fun. I'm looking forward to the next one. I'll have to schedule it. I think so Mighty and Space Otter or Spice Father or whichever name they want to take.
Spice Feather if you're me, but you know.
But yeah.
Splice Father if you're me.
Many more races to come, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, GreenTunic. Thanks, Cravone, for the help.
Thank you as well, Alfonso.
And I guess that's it for us. So yeah, coming up in 2 minutes is Mega Man X3 on Speed Gaming 2, and that's it for us. So thanks everybody for watching.